All right, everybody, welcome back to another edition of Out of Bounds. I'm Rashad Milligan. Today we are joined by a very, very special guest in the building. We have Miss Crystal Dunn. Crystal, how are you doing?
Hi, Rashad. I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Oh man, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have a representative of the country in the building. Crystal, just but you're here for a specific reason. What all is the U.S. women's soccer team specifically working on right now in the community?
So U.S. Women's National Team has partnered with Allstate. They're an incredible organization that is working to really improve and advance the involvement of youth sports and how kids get to interact with each other and playing the sport and growing the sport, but also making it easier for kids to just really enjoy the game. I think many people know, the sport of soccer definitely is still kind of somewhat of a suburban kind of sport where you always feel like you need a lot of land, a lot of grass, some places to play. But I think Allstate, Black Star, and the artist Dwight White being able to put this coaching mural up in Chicago, I think is such a great way to shed this message of you don't need a big field, you don't need a whole lot of friends and teammates to kind of even think about getting better about playing soccer. I think it's really an amazing thing to be able to figure out a way to just be able to enjoy the game and get better and just do that while just kicking the ball around by yourself.
Right, right. No, 100%, 100%. And you're from New York, which is like a weird kind of area because there's so many people, so it's like so packed in, but there's also like so much grass and land. Like it's like a oxymoron in itself.
Yes.
I guess, just how was it for you kind of like finding places and to play and everything like that growing up?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, my story, I will say, is really, I think, one that many people have experienced is that, my family's from the inner city, New York. They moved me and my brother out to Long Island when I was about 2 or 3. And if I did not make that move out to Long Island, I don't think I'd be playing soccer because it was that hard to be exposed to the sport and be able to feel like you have those resources to be able to play, and I think what's really incredible now is the message doesn't need to be you have to move your family out to the suburbs in order to feel like you can play this sport. I think right now is actually amazing that we're tapping into the demographic of inner city kids. I think that's really the beauty of sports is that you really can find those resources and really cultivate this new culture of what soccer should look like. And I think what Allstate is doing and being able to get into the communities and tap into the demographic that is really is yearning for that kind of involvement in sports. And I think coaching murals is such an incredible way to be able to shed that message of you don't need a whole lot of space. You if you want to get better at the sport, if you want to really be involved in soccer, here's a really unique and creative way in doing so.
Right, right, right. And like just thinking of inner city, but like just going specifically to black, for
Mhm,
what you've done, for what Trinity Rodman's doing right now.
mhm.
I even think like, Sophia,
Yeah.
like yeah, for what you guys are doing, I guess, for this kind of next generation, this new generation of black women soccer players, I guess,
Mhm.
just how does it feel to kind of be a part of that? And like even to be like you're kind of the face of it, for this generation. So,
Yeah,
like
I
how
mean,
does it feel for that representation?
yeah, I feel like first of all, I feel like I'm an old head now. I mean, when I see Trent and so if they're over here teaching me these new TikToks, teaching me all the latest, and I feel like I'm so incredibly proud to feel like where I found this game is not exactly where I wanted it, and now that I've grown into my career, I see the Trinities, the Naomis, the Sophia Smiths, just really navigating their careers in a way that I'm just blessed that they have this way about going about their career, and I think being a woman of color was not easy. When I looked around, I was like, why are there not many of us that are playing this sport who look like me? And I think projects such as creating coaching murals, such as Allstate in these cities, I think is a way for people to feel like, oh, if I can see her, I can be her. If I can visualize myself on this billboard like this person up there, I know that now I belong in the sport, and I think that is the message that is being created, that narrative that women of color can play. And we're not in this sport to just survive. We're actually here to thrive. So I think that's really what's been incredible. Feel like I'm a proud mom now on the team where I'm like, I look around and I see these young women of color and they're just owning their space. They're owning who they are. They're not conforming to what they think women's soccer in the US should look like. They're making it their own. And I think that is the most proud moment I think I feel right now is just that feeling of we are here, we've arrived.
100%. And also shout out to Miles
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes.
everything like that. I went to school with Dansby, so
Cool,
like
cool,
he
cool.
kind of like grew up around. I don't want to us, but yeah, he grew up around us. But so
Yes,
there's
yes,
that
yes,
and
yes.
everything and stuff like that. Kind of going back to the soccer side and things.
Mm.
Coming off of this past World Cup.
Mhm.
I know you're tired of the questions. I know you're tired of the questions.
Here we
But
go.
but but but
Let's
you
get
but you
into
stop by.
it.
We get someone from the U.S. We have to ask. So
Yeah, go.
I
Yeah,
guess
I'm
just
open.
how's it been now? It's a couple months has passed now.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? How is like just the group feeling? I guess just kind of motivated for the next go around.
Yeah, I mean, listen, even though a couple of months go by, that hurt and that pain is still there. But I think right now what I feel is I'm using it as fuel. I think that's where we find ourselves is, we have to put our best foot forward. The Olympics is around the corner. We wanna show up and show out in that tournament. And we're gonna learn from what went wrong. We're gonna learn from those feelings of, oh, this wasn't right. Let's get it right. And I think the great thing is our talent pool is so incredibly talented that we know that we're not missing the mark in the talent. We're just going to get back on the same page of gaining that chemistry on the field, really feeling like we're firing on all cylinders. And so I think the greatest thing about the fact that the World Cup did just happen is that we got the Olympics. If we had 4 years to kind of sit on this, I'd be like, listen, Rashad, I ain't doing too hot. Um, but the fact is, we do have something big to fight for in a couple of months. And I think that's giving us all that focus, that purpose of really showing up and being really in that deep focus and connecting even more with each other. So this last camp we were able to do that, saying our goodbyes to some greats and also welcoming some new faces into the national team. So I think we're off to a great start of just basically being able to just get it together.
No, 100%, 100%. And like just when you talk about the support of women's sports right now, like
Hmm.
when you guys were out there this past tournament, like there was videos of bars like in DC and stuff of people
Yeah.
flooding the streets, just watching you guys on the big screen, and just all the support that you've received this year. Like, and people like it's a cliche, America loves an underdog story. America
Uh-huh.
also loves winners, and you like
Yeah.
so for you guys as the powerhouse, as the it team or whatever
Hmm.
around the world and stuff like that for decades and decades now. And then also kind of going, I'm gonna continue giving props. Going across the other side with the WNBA, the two
Hmm.
super teams in New York and Vegas. A thing that a lot of people aren't talking about is that fan support over there. Like
Yes.
Vegas brings out great crowds and great support.
Hmm.
New York brings out great crowds and great support. And then, what you guys have going on in the MLS? I mean, excuse me, I'm sorry, and the NWSL
Hmm. Yeah.
with Trent, everything that she's bringing a whole nother demographic of fans, of young fans and
Hmm.
stuff like that. Just like where do you see the direction of the support of women's sports, and how is that translating into money as well?
Yeah. I mean, I think what we see right now is women's soccer is getting away from this, only white girls play it. I think that's the really great thing is that we are changing the face of soccer. And I think that's why projects being in communities, murals being painted of Black people playing this sport is actually so incredible because it it is something that took a long time to get here. I think when I started, I was like, oh yeah, like I'm the newbie in this sport. Like I didn't feel like this was my space. But I think now what you see is this crossover. You see WNBA players tweeting about soccer, us tweeting about basketball. You see this crossover and this almost like camaraderie that you have between one women's league and another women's league. And I think that breeds so many brands and collaborations that want to come in and be a part of the growth of both women, just women's sports in general, basketball and soccer. And I think players like Trin, through her connections and just who she is, I think like brings about this new demographic. And I think that's really what has been the greatest thing is seeing the different people in the stands cheering for us. I think it's no longer this, oh, it's mom, dad with the kids. It's like you have single people in the stands. You have young people with no kids. You have older people who have grandkids. Like you have so many people that are just like, I want to be here for the rise of these sports. And I think that's the greatest thing is that change in demographic is you're starting to see that.
Just ripping the veil. For so many times, like when I'm fighting for coverage or
Mm.
whatever, I always have to tell them, like, um, the future is female and the future is now. So I mean, it's
Mhm.
just like I mean, it just kind of is what it is. And
Yeah.
you see like what Coco's doing right now, and
Mhm.
like I was just talking about this to a black surfer. There was a black surfer,
Mhm.
a great day in the Stoke out in California. They were like, you just need to sometimes see it to
Yeah.
believe that you can do it.
Yes.
Coco did it, and Coco was, a kid watching Venus and Serena.
Mhm.
So it's gonna be a whole flood of kids that's watching you, Crystal,
Yeah.
and that's watching Trent and Soph and Mal and Naomi, like you said, like all of y'all, and it's gonna be a whole nother flood of great black soccer
Mhm.
players in this next generation. I guess like it's good to feel your influence and have your flowers now, but how good do you think it's gonna feel? How proud are you gonna be, you know, 15 years from now? And you turn on
Yeah.
the TV and you see the field of all the black girls playing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like as a woman of color, you know that somewhere along the line you may have to be the first, but you're fighting your hardest to make sure that you're not the last. And I think that's really where I find myself is it's uncomfortable to be the first. It's uncomfortable to break that barrier down or feel like you're asking for something or feeling like you're like, man, I'm here, but like why am I feeling like I'm fighting for things that like I shouldn't have to be fighting for? And I think through that fight you realize okay, like I'm going through this so that those coming after me don't have to fight as hard. They don't have to fight for the little things that I'm asking for. And I think that's where I find myself looking back and still being able to be in my career, obviously, which is incredible to be able to see it along the way. But yeah, 10, 15 years down the road, I think that is one of the greatest things that I would say that I would hope I would say that I've helped push along the way is that feeling of, fight to be the first, but definitely fight even harder to make sure that you are not the last.
100%. And shout out to Simone Manuel as well for what she's doing
Mhm.
in swimming.
Yes.
Um, I guess like another question that I'm sure you get all the time. So I'm sorry for the cliches. I'm sorry for
It's
I had to
okay.
put the prerequisites out there. Being a mother,
Yeah,
just I guess, bouncing back from pregnancy, what are some fitness tips that you can give new mothers out there who are trying to,
yeah.
like get back in shape, and they might have been gym rats, and then, they had a pregnancy. Like, what are some fitness tips you have for them?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Everyone is so different. I think it depends on too. Like, yeah, if you're thinking of starting a family and you want to come back, like my biggest message is stay busy, stay active, do what feels good. Active doesn't mean go run a marathon and try to prove that you still got it. It's like stay active by, going on walks. Like for me, it was like I was really blessed to be able to be like, okay, I play a contact sport. So obviously at some point I'm like, mama cannot be up in here in these drills. But I was like, I can pass on the sideline. I can do my little volleys. Like there's ways of staying active with while getting what you need, but also being able to protect yourself and feel like, okay, well, I'm a mom. Let me calm down a little bit. But I do think that was so key for me is staying active. I think I was somebody that really tapped into being a student of the game. Like, yeah, I can't physically now play this sport, but I'm gonna watch all these games. I'm gonna be there for my teammates on the sideline, cheering them on, and almost feeling like I was almost like a separate coach. Just connecting with my teammates from that different perspective and angle of just being on the sidelines. I felt like I almost was like, man, like, should I think about coaching when I'm done? Because like I'm feeling kind of good about the advice I'm giving right now. But I think you just gotta lean into the things that make you feel good, where you can balance everything, because the reality is like you're preparing to be a mom. Like you want to make sure that you have all the things lined up before that baby comes. Because once that baby is busting out wide, like I'm here, I'm just like that. Your life is forever changed. So you want to make sure that you have everything lined up in order. And my biggest also thing is find your village. Find your village. I feel like people. I'm as much as I think I'm incredible for coming back, and I'm like, yes, I pat myself on the back. I'm like, I'd be lying if I said that I did it by myself. I think you definitely have to find your village. Find find people that really are there for you every step of the way. I think the greatest thing for me is like lean into also like brands and sponsorships that really care about you as a whole overall being. I think that's something that I really enjoyed was that people really wanted to be there for me, not just as a soccer player, but they were like, "You're a mom, like that's incredible." And I think just embracing the fact that women are incredible, our bodies are incredible. I was able to really just get introduced to so many new brands and markets and things like that because they really just wanted to spotlight the story of just what it's like to be a mom coming back. So I think that is something I don't take for granted is the fact that women are incredible. We do incredible things.
Right, right. No, 100%, 100%. And salute to you. I want to ask you along your pregnancy journey. Uh,
Mhm.
was there ever at point in time any thoughts on Black maternal health and kind of like making sure that that was good? And if so,
Yes.
like who were some of the people in your corner to kind of comfort you or inform you along the ride?
Yeah, I mean, all the time. I mean, there are definitely stats out there that prove that women of color are not always treated up to our standard. We're not always believed when we feel like things aren't going well in our pregnancy and we're telling people, I feel like sometimes we're not believed or we're just dismissed. And I think there is a real fear of just feeling like you are not going to be protected and supported through your pregnancy journey and while you're giving birth. And so I definitely am somebody who just I lean on my mom a lot. She is somebody who's always been in my corner, always um, just instilled so much, belief and faith in just every phase of my journey. And I think she was so excited, obviously, about me being a mom, but she always preached to me like, make sure that you know yourself and you are able to speak for yourself. Don't let people just take the wheel and just say like, oh, okay, I know what's best for you. Like, make sure that you know what you need and you're asking for what you need. And so I was very fortunate to feel like I had the support I needed, had my husband there with me. The doctors were very attentive. And I think that is something that I hope and pray that every woman of color is going to be able to experience moving forward, because I know that that is not the reality currently, but I am very much hopeful that that is going to be where we are moving towards.
And speaking of, like I guess, leading up to having the baby and like
Hmm.
that, like, kind of seeing the game from the sideline as a coach and as a fan and learning the game more. I want to ask you about like some of the former all-star player giants who like turned into coaching, like Becky Hammonds and
Hmm.
Dawn
Hmm.
Staley's, and obviously kind of the biggest talk in sports right now is Dion. So
Yes.
so like when you see all of those things, just how do you feel about those athletes switching into coaching, what they're doing in their sports now, giving back? And then where do you kind of see yourself in that spectrum? I know you said it was just kind of a passing thought, but like, where do you like, do you see yourself high school, helping
Yeah.
the kids at college? Like, where do you see yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, like I've always said, when I, retire from being an athlete, I still want to be close to the game. I don't think I see myself kind of hanging up the boots and then being like, y'all will never see me ever again. I think um, as I get closer to the end of my career, I definitely think more about what I see my role being. Coaching is hard. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I think it looks fun. Everyone's like, oh, being a coach, it looks fun. But I'm like, you are managing so many things. That's why the name actually is called being a manager. And so there's a lot of courses that come into play that I have not started. So I think that is something that I'm like, if I'm going to get serious about that, I do want to make sure that I'm setting myself up to, go through all the proper steps and making sure that I'm, up to the standard of the level that I want to coach at. Um, there's being a GM. I think that that would be an incredible job. I think more people of color, especially those that have played the sport, I do think need to be in more GM roles, decision making roles of creating teams and creating environments. That's something that I'm actually pretty passionate about. Is I think everyone thinks, oh, go get the best players. That's how you build the best teams. And I'm like, no, you got to build personalities. Like, you can't have 25 of the same people on one team. Like, you have to make sure that things fit and things click. And so I'm just a firm believer that as a woman of color, I think there is an importance to staying in and around the game. I think as much as I feel like I've been able to do for the women's game, especially for women of color, I don't want to hang up the boots and then just disappear. I think I still have so much more to give the game, even if it will be from not obviously an athlete angle.
No, 100%, 100%. Well, let's look at it like this, right? 2026, the league expands to Atlanta. And
Hmm.
um, at that time, you'll be what, 30, 33, 34.
Oh gosh,
So
yeah. Why are you
not,
out here
not,
aging me? The
no, no,
math
no, no, no,
is now.
no. Not quite yet. Not quite yet. Let's go. 10 years. No, no,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, 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 yeah.
15 years. 15 years. Let's just stick to 15 years. 15 years, Atlanta finally gets a team. Uh, and they're looking for their first GM ever. Like,
Hmm.
are you, how would you build that team in Atlanta? Let's say we
I
get
mean, Atlanta's
the
obviously like
Olympic
a
ball, you
really.
for the game. We're gonna put Crystal Dunn, the first GM of the Atlanta NWSL expansion team.
I mean, oh, it's hard to tell now, but I think obviously looking at player pool, you want a blend of, youth and youthful talent, but you also want to bet a blend of veteranship. I think that that's something that I've always believed is all the teams that I've been on that have been very successful. I'm like, there's always a blend. There's a mismatch of like those that have been there before and in those high pressure moments, and those that are super talented but may not have that experience. But that doesn't mean that they're not valuable and that their value isn't gonna fit into this group. So I mean, I think for me, it definitely has to be a blend of those two. But I also think personality wise, like you got to make sure that there is respect across the board on the field. I think I'd be lying if I was like, oh yeah, you have to be best friends with everybody. I've been on enough teams to know like there just has to be a level of respect that everyone's gonna have in order to make sure that you guys click on the field. So yeah, I have no idea what my future holds past soccer, but I guess for me, I'm happy to be in the sport while I still am, and as I navigate the rest of my career, I do realize that there's so much beauty in basically being able to stay committed to the sport just from a different angle.
Well, if it is the job in Atlanta, I, I want you to in the introductory press conference. Rashad rolling out of bounds 2023. He called this in the interview. Like,
I will. I'm gonna give you a shout out too.
come on, man, come on. I'll be in attendance too. I'll be in
Yeah.
attendance. Lord willing, But but yes, Crystal, are there any other words that you would like to give to Allstate, to the young girls watching this right now, to
Yes.
aspiring athletes, anybody right now, or anything you have coming up? Chance to plug all of that right now before we get out of here.
Yeah, no, just to all states, to Black Star, to Dwight White. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of the project. I'm so passionate about just growing this game and having young kids have a better experience of playing the sport. As much as more and more minorities that we can get in the sport is going to be in better hands. And so I'm just very appreciative that I was going to be able to be a part of just growing this sport in the way that I'm just most passionate about. So thank you so much to you guys.
And thank you, Crystal, for stopping by, rolling out of bounds. As always, I'm Rashad Milligan, and until next time, please take care of yourselves.